Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good
Hello,
evening.
good evening, everyone. I am Harsh here, and I welcome you all on behalf of youth team to this webinar. So, today I like to welcome our mentor, Mr. Anish Aravind. For a small introduction, Mr. Anish Aravind is an HR entrepreneur and a social media influencer as well, and he is the co-founder at SS Consulting and Mars, Kerala. And I would start off this webinar. I would like to tell you all that this webinar is sponsored by Wacom One, product by Wacom India. Mr. Anish, you can start the session now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Rajesh and team. And special thanks to Wacom One for helping you organize this. Can you all see my screen now? Hello.
Yes, Anish, it is visible.
You're seeing the first slide, right? Hello.
Yeah, it's very clear. You can start the session. You can see your screen and
Wonderful.
your face
Wonderful.
visible.
Yes. Okay. So thanks, youth team, once again for inviting me for this seminar. I'm looking forward to the session with you all. So what I thought was to be able to speak to you all about 30 to 45 minutes on some of the creative modes and tools for remote or distributed work. And I would then use some of them. So being a boot camp, I'll kind of take you all through some of them on the screen and then open up for questions at the end. So moving forward. So before to make it a more interactive session, can I request all of you to log into menti.com? You will see this on this screen now. Please log into menti.com and use the code 1680685. So one of the reasons is I wanted you all also to take part in the or kind of co-create the learning thing. So we're starting off with a question. The question is, as shown on the screen, 180 days into COVID-19 lockdown. What are the three things that you have learned from the lockdown? I have put the question on the menti.com screen as well. Let me go and take the screen. If you start writing your options, it will come up as a okay. I've started the screen. Can I request all the participants to log on to menti.com and use the code and give your responses to this particular question? I have 5 responses. We'll wait for 30 more seconds and then we'll close it. Rajesh, are you all able to see the voting? Okay, I'm closing the voting. Okay, so here we see what you all have written. So you've learned, see this is the word cloud format. So very interesting things coming in. You see patience as the word that has been written by most of the participants. Very interesting word. Business strategies, time utilization. You can see this changing as more people are coming in. I can maybe open the voting as we go. I will look at some of these words here. Very interesting things. Cooking, reduce my demands. Maybe once let me open the voting once again, so that you can see these things as we changing it. And more of you want to vote. More focus on healthy diet. It's very interesting that one of the reasons I started off with this is this also takes a cue from what I'm going to do today. This will be a kind of an interactive mode, and this itself are some tools we are kind of using as we go along. You can see various things come self-reliance, how to work remotely. In fact, that's going to be one of the focus areas of my facilitated talk today. Work from home, website basics, HR e-learning, HR analytics, patience again coming up as the top one. Health is wealth again. That's one of the areas that you will see me discussing on. Cooperation, care for others. Wonderful, wonderful, great participation. Thanks a lot for cooking is kind of increasing in text size as you go. Okay, so you got the hang of it. There are some more interactive things like this coming out. In the interest of time, I'll close this question for now. We'll come back to this. Thank you all for participating in it. I'll go back to my slides. Okay. So a quick context setting as we move on to the so my proposition here is to kind of make a case for the remote work as such. Personally, I've been working remote mode for the last 5 years now. 2015 is when I started working more from a remote mode, and from 2018 almost completely on a remote mode. So what are some of the reasons why you find these things difficult? Although there is a pull of the traditions here, because most of the work that started with the factory mode of work, and so in the industrial revolution times, so you will find that we're all still stuck on the factory mode of assessing or evaluating work for productivity, even when most of us now are doing more of knowledge work or creative or cognitive skills related work, because a lot of the other ones are getting automated. So even with this, we actually look at traditional ways to measure work. One of the reasons why it is found to be difficult is that. The second is that we end up creating the office at home. I also was guilty of this earlier. I tried to kind of create the office at my home. I realized that doesn't really work, because once I'm sitting at home, my wife and kids and everybody would consider me as a part of their life on a day-to-day thing. I had to move to another room or another area within the room where I've told them, okay, this is my workspace. If you find me here, then make sure that you are in for only a very, very urgent reasons or something. So design the work for the home. That is where do this, and the advantages kind of. And the next part is the advantages. Again, I'm going to enumerate. It increases the shared understanding among the team about what's happening. There are some tips I will give you all throughout this. And TSIO is short for time spent in office. So time spent in office is no longer a measure or a metric for performance or contribution. And at the initial phase, at the highest level, the word asynchronous, that means everyone can contribute in their own time in a manner that will share their interests or talents to the major cause of the business or a non-profit or whatever. So contributions increase because each one is allowed to support the cause at their own time. And the last but not the least, there is a better work plus life plus family. So that means there are possibilities of bringing up breaks and stuff. So in this particular the thing, I gave push-ups because people who would want to do an exercise regime, like maybe a push-up or a bicycling thing after maybe 2 hours of work, which typically if you're in office, that's very difficult to do. Not all offices are able to do that, but we're in at home. If you're used to something, it is easier for you to cover. So that's the advantages. Now back to the Mentimeter. I'll go to the next one. What do you think are the challenges? You've been working from home for some time now, a lot of us. What do you think are the challenges? We'll go back to Mentimeter again, request you all to go back, and then I'll start the next slide. 1 second. Can you see the next question? What are the challenges you face while transitioning and later doing remote work? So please write those down, and we'll get to see what those are, and you'll get to participate in this so that we can get all the participants into this. And what my objective is to kind of take some of these things, I am noting it down, and then cover some of the things and tips and tools to kind of help you all face these challenges as someone who's been helping other companies as well as individuals transition to remote working for the last 4 to 5 years. I hope all of you are able to see the screen, and I request you all to fill in your choices. Now that we are used to this, let me kind of we'll give you a minute for this. I'll start the countdown, 60 seconds. Thanks for your participation. We have more people joining in, I can see. Okay, 10 more seconds to go. Thanks for joining in. Okay. There you go. We have, let's wait for the results, taking a bit of time. There you go. We have time management as main talents, team management coming up again, communication. Let's see if we can get to some of those areas and doesn't feel like working. Focus is a challenge. Interesting, very interesting. Focus becoming a challenge. What else do we have here? Work-life balance, increasing work hours, monitoring work becomes a challenge. Okay, focus. Just writing some of these down. There you go. Productivity, personal approaches, organizing, technical errors, a lot of internet issues, misunderstanding. So communication theme is coming out again and again. So here is so from now on, I'm kind of quickly going into some of the solution aspects. This being a boot camp, one of the reasons I got these interaction is to kind of build some participation from all of you all. Thank you for joining in. So let me go back to these slides now. These are my suggested approaches. One is focus on results, track those results using any kind of metrics. The commonly used ones are scorecards, key indicators, key performance indicators, objectives and key results, also known as OKRs. Whether your company or your organization or the society they're in use it or not, these are things that you can pick up and learn and put in your own personal space as well. So this, I would highly suggest that you do that, whether the company uses these things or not. Okay, so that's one part. Now I'm going to be taking you all to an interactive whiteboarding session now. Let me open the whiteboard. 1 second. Okay. Okay. You can all see the whiteboard, I'm sure. So there are 3 things that I'm trying to do, like from these challenges that you see. I have charted out a kind of a 3C approach, okay, to cater for this as a solution, as a tool to work in a remote mode. So, okay, 3Cs. By the way, this is one of the tools that I'm using now. So you can see the tool. This is a whiteboard tool. I'm using the Wacom product. It's called Wacom 1. So I'll explain some of the features that HR people can also use this. So the first one here is communication. Okay, I'll come back and I'll go to the slides now. I'll take you all through these slides on communication. Let us look at the first C. It's communication. And one of some of the advantage, why it is. So I'm explaining all this from a human being perspective. So human communication is where we will look at. So if we move ahead, what are the advantages of communication? No, communication, when properly done, can enable autonomy, and autonomy can be a great tool or a great way to enable engagement from human beings, and then foster contribution from them. So I'll share these slides so that all of you can get this, so you might not need to take notes from these links and all. So this is a TED talk and a link. It's about a talk from Daniel Pink about the motivation, human motivation as a subject. He's named the book Drive. It's a 2009 book. So most of what I'm going to cover today are taken from research material of books which have been written after 2000. The last 20 years time is what I'm going to concentrate. So that's the piece on communication, why it's important. The first C. The second C or let's say before coming to the second C, one of the reasons why I've kept communication is we'll move to one of the tools and tips for enabling communication in your own as well as in your office situation. And one of the key reasons or key objectives of this communication is to enable collaboration. Now, these are the things that I use and some of my clients as well use. And I'm not looking at the enterprise level tools here for a reason. I gather that most of the attendees would also be from smaller companies, because in sheer number, the smaller company HR and business people will be more than the larger ones. So I'm concentrating on them. Of course, a lot of these things are free tools or coming out like the Google Sheets and stuff. Screen sharing in Google Sheets, freely available with Gmail ID. So it enables collaboration. So that means at the same time, just like I was able to show the screen and the whiteboard to you, the same thing can be done across people who are located at various the locations of the country, even in remote places in the world. So the second is use WhatsApp or Slack. These are for real-time purposes. So it may not be asynchronous assets, but everybody doing it in a synchronous manner. That is when you use tools like WhatsApp and Slack. So why to use it is, the key part is to build community. So WhatsApp groups are a great way to kind of bring people with common interests together and then transfer information. So, and the third point within collaboration is, of course, project management. Some of the tools that I've brought here, there are similar tools as well. Slack again is used, Asana is used, Basecamp and Monday. These are ones which they all have free versions as well. And once my recommendation is to start using the free version and they pick up the ones you like and then move on to the paid version if you feel there is value. This would depend on company, from company to company, this might change, and to the individual as well. So I, for one, really love the way this tablet works, and I could kind of do this. So let me go back and then write we'll go to the second C. So the second C, the second C is connection. Okay, so I'm writing it in capital letter. Very important, and I'm going to spend the next let's say 5 to 10 minutes on this. So connections. Why is connections important? Why are connections important? Let's understand, and again look at some of the tools that can help people who are working remotely to improve or enhance the connections, right? So human beings are all social animals, right? So we're all very well by brain level, at a brain level, to the evolution, we're all kind of wired for connection. So so that makes the case for improving connections, and some of the tools that we can use are, and I have picked up only one part. So as a reason or objective for connection, it's social learning. Because in this short web meeting, I thought I'll discuss only one of them: social learning using social media. Okay, because this being a boot camp for tips and tricks, I thought learning I'll pick up as a topic. So how Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter can be used for learning. I'm still continuing to use all the three. Instagram has not been so much for me on learning, which is more on sharing my pictures and stuff. I am an avid birder. I take pictures of birds and share as well. But Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, in the order of, let's say, I started enjoying or connecting to more people online through Twitter. Then slowly realized I had the LinkedIn I started refining. And LinkedIn and Facebook almost is kind of an equal method. It allows me to link up to very diverse thought people, human beings with very, very different thought. Now, why I'm now getting into tools that will help you do better on social media, right? So Canva.com and Adobe Spark are some of the design tools that can help HR people. Now, be aware of why I've brought design tools. See, HR people, not all of us would be designers themselves, right? Or would like to do, but at a brain level, everybody of us, all humans, like to scribble, right? We when you scribble or jot things down on a sheet of paper, then it has been proven that the retention or the use or the more of it moves into long-term memory. When that stuff moves into long-term memory, that adds as learning for us. So we can utilize those things to solve problems later. So if you are able to, just like what I did, use this tool for the whiteboarding, you all can use, a lot of us can use Canva.com and Adobe Spark, the free versions to start off, to add designs or maybe visual things to your Facebook posts, LinkedIn, and add video parts to Twitter. So video, for example, goes across all these platforms. I've just picked 4 of them, but there are others as well, which you can choose depending on where you're located in terms of country or within the state. There may be a particular thing. Like, for example, I'm located in Kerala. Not many people are on Twitter here, so but if I'm going a program, I would rather do it on a Facebook or a LinkedIn or a live or something, and not on Twitter, because not many HR folks in Kerala are on Twitter. May not be the same case in Gurgaon or maybe Mumbai. So the second point is using content curation aspects. So there are lots of tips available on how to curate content. Some of these sites like Buffer and HubSpot, these are businesses which run on content. They actually provide a lot of these tips and tricks for enabling content, because it helps their business as well, and as more people blog and create content and short clips and videos. So we can actually use or piggyback on those things as well. Now, coming to the interfaces. Now, our today's program, sponsored by Wacom. Wacom has a product called Wacom One, which I'm using right now. The ones you saw me doing the whiteboarding part, that was done. I had actually done this one. I had used, and so I'm writing this down using a pen, which is part of this Wacom One product. In fact, it was my 14-year-old son who really helped me set all these things up yesterday when this product came to me. It's an amazing one. I really see that. So I was initially wondering how I could use this, and I realized that the visual part which I want to enable, I've been concentrating on creating more visuals of what I'm doing, because text alone can, unless actually enabled by things like Mentimeter, text alone can be boring. So hence the reason like this, I can annotate things like this, I can scribble stuff. So a lot of these things can happen. Imagine a similar thing coming out of maybe caricatures and stuff. And there are also wizards that will help you create near professional stuff on these things. So shout out to those kind of tools that helps us. So this is the other part on the tools. And basically what we're doing is we are generating more power out of the visuals, right? So visuals, again, brain science, the human beings connect better to visuals. So if you want to end up sharing learning and spreading learning, this is one great tool to use. Now, connections, you make the contacts, you can actually be in these set of categories. You use these platforms, like for example, in Facebook, I have family connections, I have business related connections, employees who've been with me for, I worked about 16 years before I became a consultant. So right from those period, from 2006 onwards, I think Facebook has been around. So even people who have been with me prior to that, from 99, I've reconnected on Facebook, alumni network, friends. So basically, there's a saying that network as a net worth of yours. So we look at even this kind of during the lockdown, I must have done at least 7 or 8 webinars to people whom I've really not met in person, but contacted me on LinkedIn or Facebook, and there are similar people whom I've done the same thing. I've got speakers from across the globe for to come and do seminars for us in Kerala here. So this is one aspect. So this is the second C, basically connections. Okay. Now moving to the third C, which is capacity. Again, human capacity is what I'm talking about. Let me go back and write those things again on our slides. Capacity. Okay. Capacity. Capacity. Let's look at it. You're able to see this, I guess. So capacity. There are two things, and let's see why we want to look at capacity. Because to enjoy all these, actually, to enable a health of the individual as well as life. Why that is for a purpose or meaning, to get purpose or meaning in life. These two aspects, I mean, are some of the main things to be taken care of. Not many people understand the importance of this sleep as a connector, as a tool, or as an enabler of health. Right. My suggestion is to go and look it up. Specifically, look for studies which have happened after 2000, the year 2000. You will see that because there's been very invasive level of studies possible because of technology advancements, brain has been studied much more in detail after the year 2000 than it was prior to that. So unfortunately, a lot of our textbooks, whether it is leadership or the ones that we get to learn or buy in the or get to learn in the universities, are very few of them have been written after 2000. So, but thankfully thanks to the internet, we are able to go and get the access to some of those. I'll also cover some of those areas or some of the things that I've been supporting people. The next one is exercise. Okay. Now, how to enable everybody? I mean, this is a lot of us would say, okay, we all know this. We start off, and then maybe kind of after 2 weeks or so, we linger down and we stop the exercising. One of the tips that I would give is to get into team activities with friends, even when in a remote way. Maybe get into, let's say, yoga, doing yoga together at a common place. For example, in Google, there is a group of people called Yoglers, started by a set of employees, and they call themselves Yoglers. And so Googlers, so Yoglers. So people who, so this was led by this is led by a friend of mine. His name is Gopi Kalail. I've interacted. He's again who's an ex-McKinsey consultant who's now heading the branding activities for the top 200 clients of Google. So he leads this team, Yoglers. So that means there's similar aspects can be done across companies, and video and other tools can be used to connect people. So basically, these 3 C's always help people look at a remote working scenario, make it better, and make it more purpose oriented, and so you get meaning out of your work. Okay, moving ahead. Now, coming to the last part here, I would spend some time from whatever I've been talking about. I have picked up 3 or 4 areas here with some sub points around how to reach some of these resources. for massive open online courses. They've been around for over a decade now. I've just mentioned edX and Khan Academy and Coursera, which have a lot of free courses. In fact, lynda.com is the one which became LinkedIn Learning. Lynda.com was acquired. It's very, very good one for designers and animators and all. So LinkedIn has a lot of those courses. LinkedIn Learning. Apart from and based on your profile and interest, LinkedIn can suggest courses for you. I've now taken a paid account on LinkedIn so that I can get access to all the courses. It's a yearly subscription. And this is function specific. So whichever operations, marketing, finance, HR, research and science, whatever. So, and the next is general. Why general? Because see, if you look at the last 6 months, our knowledge about interconnectedness of various business activities is the most important aspect that will help us cope up with like pandemics and situations which are kind of unprecedented. It's been almost 102 years that we have got into a pandemic situation after the Spanish flu, which happened in the year 1918. So it took about a couple of years, I guess, for it to. So it's almost 100 years that this pandemic situation, most part of the globe is affected. Now, when you look at the Economist, Harvard Business Review, TED Talk, these are all resources that a lot of them are free now. Like for example, Economist has made all the COVID-19 resources free of cost. So you don't need a subscription. Also, very interesting aspect is the podcast actually, because a lot of my listening or learning comes from listening to podcasts. So that podcast itself from the computer as well as the mobile, you can do this. There's something called Editor's Picks from Economist, which is freely available. And with a subscription, you can go to the see every 2 weeks you get to listen to 3 major articles, which is picked up by the editor. So it's like the editor, and the editor herself is reading it out. So that helps you connect to a lot of global events and see how those interact. Because with HR, there's a lot of interconnectedness. The business knowledge all comes in only from outside HR reading. So Dave Ulrich talks about this as outside in kind of an approach being required for to become or a SME or as an HR professional, right? Then there are open knowledge groups. I've just taken 2 of them. This is ResearchGate is one, Quora.com is another for you all to follow. The third category I've looked at is are individuals. These are say people like I follow, for example, for HR stuff. I follow about I have my own top 10 or 20 whom I've selected based on various research I have or readings or suggestions I've got. There are some people from India as well in that. So then there are so for example, it will be global names. Adam Grant would be there. Then Dave Ulrich would be there. Daniel Pink again would be there for a lot of general aspect. Malcolm Gladwell. And there are influencers across various regions. Like, for example, in social media, there's Guy Kawasaki, who's now the chief evangelist of Canva.com. He was prior earlier with Apple. So there are such influencers. There's a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk. Again, on social media, they spread. There are researchers. Again, Daniel Pink and Malcolm Gladwell, I would consider more of a research. So there are also on the ResearchGate.net, it's on a free subscription. You can get access to a lot of research articles. So these are the online sources. So interestingly, all of them are available in a remote situation. A lot of the companies have actually started giving it to as a free access to employees, and some of them have even started tracking the use and linking them to skill sets that are helpful for them in the performance on the role as well. Okay, so that's these are the sources. So I've kind of given you the 3 C's of as a kind of tips and tools. 3 C's: communication, connection, and capacity. 3 C's to help make or better rewarding work when you're working remote. And I've also looked at some tips and tools. I will now open up for questions. I guess if you all can type down your questions in the chat box, I'll get to see them. I have, as you're going in for questions, I will have one last question, or kind of I'm throwing up or opening a question there to maybe bring in some more discussions. We'll go back to menti.com again. Just a moment. Back on to menti.com. Okay. Sorry, there was a question I had put in. Okay, there you go. This is a kind of a trivia. There you go. So post 2000, which bodies of knowledge have potential to influence learning on human behavior the most? Okay, so I've given choices: is neuroscience, behavioral economics, evolutionary biology, all the above, and the last is not sure. So time's up. 6. Okay. Okay, all the above has the responses. So thanks for participating. These are all very interesting actions. So that's about it. Coming to the end of my open for questions. I'll leave this slide for notes that you can have. These are the ways in which you can reach me. If you're keen to take any of these sub portions forward as an interest area, if you want to reach out to me for more questions or follow-up discussions, feel free to do that. Thanks for the youth team. I'm looking forward to following you all, following the action with this team of yours over LinkedIn and other social platforms. It was a pleasure talking to all of you. I'm looking forward to answering some of the questions now. I think I have about 10 more minutes to go. So
we are having a question from a person, and we can take the questions from the other participants as well. So everyone, we request you to just drop your questions or raise your hand, so we can allow you to talk and you can discuss with Anish directly. Meanwhile, Anish, we can play a video about Wacom 1 because they are the main support or reason for happening this event. So we can do the question answer behind that actually.
Wonderful. In fact, I was using the Wacom 1 device for the presentation. In fact, I've used here. So I'm looking forward to watching more and learning more about the device.
Sure, great. Sounds great. I'm just playing the video and I'm taking the presenter.
Sure.
We can see the question answer.
Q&A.
Yeah, Anish, please take the questions, and there's another person there.
Okay. I'll pick it up from the chat box, or are they going to?
Q&A segment. There's one person has question till now. So, rest of the people, please drop your question so Anish can give the answer. You can attend the first question there. There's a person called Lakshmi Tejashwini Thoda.
I guess that was at the beginning that she mentioned.
Yeah, just please can you can use that question.
So whatever I spoke about was from an HR perspective. So if there are specific questions on some of the areas, please drop them, and I'll be glad to explain. Okay, recruitment. Okay, so all the tools that I've used here are can be used for recruitment. In fact, LinkedIn and Facebook are the ones which a lot of these. If you're in the IT side, then that's where most of the companies are using LinkedIn and Facebook now for hiring. There is also Indeed.com, which uses a lot of high quality search to give you all access. There is high risk. There are specific interest groups, like if you're wanting to hire designers, then there is Behance. And if you're software programmers, then there is Stack Overflow and GitHub. So these are all communities through which you can actually reach out to the talent that you require. So if you can tell me which, these are general for recruitment. If there are particular industry, please send me a chat or an email. I'll be happy to respond. How do we deal with? Okay, great question. So grapevine. So Radhika, the answer to that is increase communication from a leadership level so that there is very little chances of rumors being spread. So when there is grapevine really increases when the employees do not have a mode to know what's happening, then they will start assuming things. They will call each other and keep share. And remember, calling options have increased now to get in touch with each other as employees. There is WhatsApp. All these tools that I mentioned are available. Maybe even trolls. In fact, the last 3 years, one of the challenges that a lot of the HR folks had to deal with are the trolls that come out. Some of them are very, very creative, and so in fact, I would take it as two-way communication. It's a better feedback as well. So my one-word answer is increase communication. I've given you some of the tips on how to do that. So maybe town halls. So in some of my clients, I've increased the frequency of town halls from a quarter to a monthly level now after April, because and in some cases 2 weeks as well in the initial phases, because there are, let's say, for industries which are going through major trouble in the lockdown, specifically hospitality and travel. I would recommend that leaders enabled by HR take more frequent town hall meetings, all employee meetings, so that the grapevine is reduced. Okay, there's a question on employee engagement. So employee engagement, my answer would be connect. I'm writing it down to the work. I'm saying connect to the work itself. I'm not a huge fan of creating separate items like celebrations and all, unless it is connected to work. Design them for the engagement purposes. I'm answering it to all. So how so engagement for me is these days there's companies are moving into employee experience kind of a space now from the earlier thing of employee engagement. It's more around how employees are connecting to so how employees are experiencing the work culture. So from a remote level, the making work into packets that can be understood easily is the first step in connecting people to the work. And I do not think people come to see work for specific other things other than work. There's some portion is fine, maybe a percentage. And one of the better ways to do it is to have employees themselves design it, and HR role players and the business leaders can act as facilitators and not have, for example, if you have a, let's say, celebration coming up, ask a committee of employees to come together and nudge them to design a celebration themselves rather than HR going in and creating it. And because then, so then there is no need for another survey whether how it went if you do this manner. So that is my take on employee engagement. Okay, the question is around, the next one is around how technology will be advantage for different HR streams. Okay, I'll answer in general. Technology is a it's an enabler in almost every field now. So if you notice how technology, I've actually tried to do some of those examples. Naveen, thanks for the question. In this event itself, I've used social media myself. I've used the some of the tech tools here like Wacom one to show you how things can be done. And so you can see as we see there's this video going on. A lot of these things are learning enablers. See, one of the things that technology can be used to enable is these sketch notes, right? So what you see now is a sketch note. There are so when you actually convert a book into a sketch note, you are, there is a high chance that you get to connect to the book faster. And maybe after you see the sketch note, you will end up going and reading the book in depth. Right? That's the answer. So technology will help in all the streams. It's a from the 1960s. Payroll is the one where technology started coming into HR. Then it got into recruitment big time. Then into performance management, learning and development. So every field within HR is now, and with data enabling AI. So things like predictive things like succession planning and attrition prediction and all the stuff are able to be done easily with the technology. Okay, this is an interesting personal question. Okay, one thing I enjoy the most is to be able to find employees or people whom I can involve and impact their life. There is that smile that happens. There's an understanding smile. Okay, thank you for being there. Kind of. Not everybody will come and tell you that, but when you know that you've impacted lives of people, like for example, I've one of the things that my consulting firm does is to help improve the employability of IT folks in my state. So we are looking at it in numbers every year. We've already crossed 5,000 from 2008. Although I've those indirectly and directly helping companies or IT talent find the best roles across the state. So maybe that will help. It's a win-win because it helps entrepreneurs in the state get talent, also get people from all across the country to come in and look at opportunities which are relevant to them. So it can be a very good data guy who's okay to work in Kochi can come from Kolkata or wherever they are in the country to come and work here. Because so some of these things around. So that's one thing which I enjoy. How to cope with layoffs? Okay, that see the in some of the cases the layoffs would be kind of would be a reality. One of the better ways to look at is to look forward, look at it positively. The company, if you are part of the HR team from the company, then help employees by connecting them to resources from which can land them jobs, give them a good referral, because in a lot of these cases, it is not their performance alone that might end up in, like for example, travel industry and hospitality industry. How much ever well the employee connected to the previous goals, that is pre-2020 goals, after March, the industry just is just not there. It's almost 80% down. Some of you would have listened to the Marriott CEO speech. It's not that people are not traveling. So there's very little people. I'm myself a member of the Marriott Rewards team. I mean, I keep getting those emails, but there's not much of travel. I was slated to travel at least twice to the US for conferences this year. I've not even done it once. So don't make it into a stigma. Try and help people, and it is possible to help. Always there are people who are. Even today, I posted a job requirement for one of my clients on some of the WhatsApp groups here in local area. There's always people hiring. So maybe which you can help as HR team members. You may have a better network. You can connect to those groups. I also get requests from HR people to help connect employees. Okay, that's the okay. So some tips about some of the things that I've used. The product that I've used today was Wacom One. You can find this if you want to reach out and get this. I'm sure there's Wacom will give some special deals for us. It is available on Amazon. You can get them, get it shipped across. I think the cost it's somewhere in the range of 35 to 38K. I have not checked the current price.
So, please, sorry for interruption. I just want to add one point. As I know from Wacom One actually, so it's a MRP is 38,000, but if you purchase from Amazon, so there's some discounting offer is happening. Actually, it's you can buy 34,000 actually. So
Okay.
this price, as I know as of now. So people are asking about that. Few questions also regarding Wacom. I guess these are the answer is done. But there's some HR related question as well. How whiteboard interview helps? So you can attend this. 2-3 questions left actually. So you can attend this question.
One second. What is the question? Can you read it out again?
Yeah. One question is how whiteboard interview helps. By Vanita Singh.
I'm not sure if whiteboard interview, what she meant by that. So in a way, maybe we can use if it's in a remote interview. What I have done is to get the candidate to kind of sketch something, or so there are online platforms which help me to connect to the candidate and also have somebody write or sketch things during the interview. That way, it looks like just like I've used this. There are that somebody can come in and write in shared Google Sheet. The same thing can be used for drawing or whiteboarding or brainstorming purposes as well. So that's one way I have used. There are once you see the one way to look at is let's take Wacom One for example. When I first saw it about a couple of days back, I was wondering how to use it. But when I spent time understanding the features, I realized that I could do a lot of things. For example, it comes with some period of which I can use Adobe Images for a 3-month period. That helps me. So if you're following me on LinkedIn and Twitter, you will get to see for the next month or so. I'll get all my posts will be spruced up with some of these things. So that's also the reason how you can enable your own visibility on the internet using some of these tools. Okay, there's an interesting question by Namrata. Thanks for the question, Namrata. How should a technologically impaired employee be used to his full potential? Okay, so in the last 20 years, I've seen a lot of people who feared technology. Okay, nobody is really kind of impaired employee unless there is a congenital defect or something, like let's say especially abled people. But other than that, it is a fear of technology that helps people from or prevents people from connecting to it. So my suggestion is individually sit and understand what makes the person fear the technology and or a particular piece of technology. It can be a phone, for example. I remember working with a 62-year-old person to convert him to a user of a smartphone. So it took me some time. It took me precisely about 3 months before he became. It started in 2013, and by 2000 early 2014, 3 to 4 months, at midway in the 2013 it started. By the beginning of 2014, the person got into WhatsApp, and in fact, from 2014 he's on WhatsApp and he's been using it. And so it is the personal thing. So spend time with groups of employees. If you're an HR person, then work with the supervisor and that particular team to maybe handhold the person, take the fear away from the person, and then they will find it easier. Thanks for the question. I really like that one because that calls for a lot of empathy as well from we as HR people. Okay, so I don't mind taking more questions if there are more, or of course, I'm sure you.
Yeah, the last question I can say about that actually. Dilip Kumar is asking that please provide your points related to people management.
Okay, so people management being a very large area, so my philosophy has been around creating a purpose for the people to join a particular company. Once they know what the company stands for, and they can also relate to how their own strengths are or can be used in that particular company, and then this part is better explained in a JD. So you really attract people. To attract people, you first design a particular manner in which a business is done. Let's say, like for example, Google is has a purpose of collating the world's information. Like it's about 20 years old now, but that's how it started. And now, so as long as there is information, there is need to collate it and make better sense out of it. So you will see that products are being added to Google. So Google becomes one of the top 10 employers for the last 20 years. So this is the base of people management. Once you have a set of people who are coming in to do a particular role, they so I remember in the late 90s when I was a student, in the motivation section of the organization behavior textbook, there was one small portion or 2 or 3 lines which said the work itself. There were other rooms theory, and there were a lot of other motivation theories like the Maslow's hierarchy layer and all of stuff. But there's a short 2 lines around the work itself. Now, post 2000 and 2010 in particular, this factor has been the core or the base of people management to me, by the progressive companies, I mean. And these are things which smaller companies can quickly pick up because at a conceptual level, if once you understand this, then it can be replicated across any organization, even for a non-profit. So that is my piece on. The rest will follow. I mean the recruitment and then engagement and development and say learning and development, all those things will follow. But basically, you really can't manage another human being. Like they're all adults, right? So they're very capable of managing themselves. But you can connect them to a cause. That is easier. Now, how is it that now? I mean, the Wacom and Boop and others, I mean, UF and others have come and connected all of us, about maybe 100 odd people, to come on to the webinar. There is a cost here. There is a tips and tools. Okay, there is somebody who will come up, and I'm sure you will do more such webinars and with support of so this is the same philosophy that can be transformed or transferred to any business or non-profit situation, and that is the base of managing people. I hope that helps. Sir, committed to, okay, to stay committed doing one thing, say reading. Is that how to stay committed? Maybe. Okay, so Varun asks how to stay committed. Okay, so that's again a personal one. First of all, try and fix on why you want to do a particular thing. If it's a book, let's say, I'll recommend that all of you read a book by Laszlo Bock, a person who spent about 13 years in Google. He's written a book named Work Rules. Um, it will be here somewhere. Let's say you want to read work rules. So first, you have to say, why do you want to read it? What are the things that you, so you can read a review about it. If you see certain interesting things, then maybe buy the book. Then, so it's always the power of the why that will help you complete a particular thing that you do. So then the commitment arises on its own. So take smaller examples, like when you want to let's say play cricket. Unless you really know why you want to play cricket, it's because maybe your neighbor is playing and all. It may not last forever. You might play till the neighbor is there, but anything don't just do it for the sake of doing. Understand why you need it for. To me, I respected Google and other product companies. I would love to have known how some of those problems or of people management they have solved. There is, in fact, Google themselves have now converted that into a business opportunity. So they've allowed their HR head to write about the people management things that they've done. There is a re.work or a hire.google.com wherein they put all these learnings publicly available for them. That will, of course, help more people connect to Google, which is again branding for them. So it's all a win-win situation. So be it anything, the commitment comes out of a personal connection to the cause. So it is more easier than actually thought about. Good question though. Would love to connect more. Feel free to reach out and we can have more discussions on it. Okay, there are.
I guess we are good enough to close the session now. But last, we have just two questions for Wacom especially. One person is asking, Arnab Ahuja is asking, is there any chiller? I guess cheaper hoga, I think. It's a cheap question, similar Wacom one. And second one is asking Akhil Jain. He's asking that I have the same question, any smaller price available? So Akhil and Arnab, we'll get back to you. We'll have the data, your email address and mobile number. So we'll talk to Wacom and we'll check with them if is there any similar product. So we'll update you. Thank you. So Anish, we can close the session. If you want to say something, so you can go with that.
Okay, thanks. It was very exciting talking to all of you. Thanks, View team and Wacom for this special occasion for me. I really enjoyed talking to all of you, and I hope you all will be in touch. And you all have. I know I've kind of rushed on to a lot of things in this 40-50 minutes. So, but I'm available on the internet remotely, and so I'll be able to. Within about 24 hours or so, I'll respond to your queries if it's on an email or WhatsApp. I've left my numbers and all for you all. So looking forward to it. Thanks once again, Rajesh and team. Really, really excited that you all reached out and happy to be of support in the future as well. Thank you.